told about now. You know, when, you know, these selected vegetables, and we have the bottle gourd, the chilies, the bitter gourd, the vegetable sponge, the eggplants, they were banned onto the European Union markets. And this is how much we have lost as a country. I know exactly the situation now. We'll go there as well. But let me start with you, Malik. I mean, exactly, if you can just refresh our memory, exactly what informed this ban?
Well, a very good morning to your viewers all across the length and breadth of this country. And good morning to all staff of GHOne. And good morning to my brother, Kamaldeen. I think it appears as a very sad decision. I mean, we actually started suffering this loss 2 years ago as a clear result of, according to the commission that was in charge of vegetable exports in Ghana and the international communities, they charged us for infestation. I mean, insects actually infested these vegetables. They weren't proper, I mean, they weren't proper sanitizing of this. There was no proper sanitizing of these vegetables, and so the European markets couldn't accommodate all these vegetables into their markets again. So they actually kept a ban on Ghana. It was hopeful. I don't know to what extent that has gone to, but they were hoping to have reviewed it on the 21st of September. I don't know if they have done that or so. But I mean, it was actually, these are some of the challenges that confronted the previous government, because if you look at the amounts of money Ghana loses every day from our farms, people all across the length and breadth of this country actually cultivate these things, I mean, to support and revenue mobilization for the country. And I mean, the European market is one of the markets that stand in unity with the agricultural sector of this country. And so putting a ban on vegetables actually turned out to be a big blow to the people of this country. But we were putting up measures towards doing that. And that was why when the armyworm infestation, I mean, appeared in the northern part of Ghana, everybody actually clinged on towards the battle of eradicating that syndrome. And we found people trying to put in political fingers in it and overturn it, even to an extent where a minister had to resign because, I mean, he actually used certain harsh words against the people of the north, and they came drastically against him. And so I feel that when these things come up, we should do our best to unite in battling it, because at the end of the day, the whole country suffers. The farmer down there in the rural community actually suffers this, because his crops do not get to go to the European markets again. He does not get to bring his crops to the southern part to be exported again. And so at the end of the day, you find out that our markets get choked, and all these things, day in, day out, tomatoes in the market, chili, just like a ban was put on pepper, go rotten in the markets. And so if these things should continue, perhaps all these things would have had their way to the European markets, and this could have generated significant, I mean, revenue for the people of this country, because you realize that we are losing about $36 million US. That's a huge chunk of money that could, I mean, foster development in this country. And so I feel that as and when these things come out, let's put up our possible best to come together and fight it, void of any political affiliation. Because, I mean, a clear case, just like I cited, was the armyworm infestation. And we found people from the ruling government actually tagging the NDC and stating that we were attacking too much, we were putting much pressure. But these were some of the reasons, so that we do not have an extended ban. Because, mind you, this news was out there in the international communities. If the European market should pick news like this, then they end up extending the ban they've put on vegetable. I mean, and it goes, who does it affect? It affects your government, and it affects the people of this country. It affects the ordinary farmer down there in my village who is struggling to set up a pepper plantation and envision that his goods will be exported, and then he could cater for his wife and children back home. So I feel that, I mean, it is actually a bad precedence for the people of this country, and we should work towards, I mean, revamping that sector and then putting up the proper measures in place to sanitize that system.
And indeed, I mean, according to the Agri Ministry, we were making about $18 million per annum out of vegetable exports, you know, before the ban. So you can imagine, yeah, that's huge, and it still boils down to the fact that we have failed as a country to ensure best practices in the sector. And I find it a bit worrying, considering the fact that we are an agro-based economy. Come on.
Well, once again, good morning to you. Good morning to Malik. Good morning to our cherished viewers out there. I think it's a very worrying news to us as a people, especially when you just allude to the fact that we are an agro-based, if you like, economy. I agree. From where I come from in the north, Close to 90% of the populace there are into farming. Unfortunately, peasant farming. That is because we don't have much to put into mechanized farming, as it were. Nonetheless, we depend on farming to survive. Now, if the agri sector is suffering a jolt as a result of some ban, imposed on the exportation of vegetables in our country since 2 years now, or after over 2 years now, I think we should be worried about it. What actually necessitated this ban? Simple. There was suspicion of, if you like, pest infestations, on some of these vegetables that we had caused to export to Europe. And the European market thought that their ecosystem was actually being endangered, as it were, because of that. So we suffered this ban. The question is, $36 million that we lose in 2 years, or we have lost in 2 years, for not exporting such commodities of such vegetables. What are we doing as a country? Have we put in measures in place to curb that, to solve that? Have we been able to make sure that the cultural value chain that we do have as a country is actually bettered, is given a boost, so that we will repose confidence once again in that sector, so that we can be able to get this ban lifted? Have we done that?
Well,
I want to say,
you asked the question, but
yes.
A statement that was released by the EU suggests that since October 2015, when this ban happened, Ghanaian authorities...
It was October 2014, rather.
It was 2015.
2015, okay.
Yes, it's 2 years.
Sure.
So the Ghanaian authorities have taken significant corrective measures to improve the inspection and control system for plant health at exit points.
That's why I asked.
So it started from way back 2015 when the ban happened.
I'm happy you have given us a clue. I was asking this rhetorical question to be answered by my good self again, because I'm well aware that we have put in measures in place. And let me give not credit to only the government of the day. I would also give credit to the outgone government, the government of John Dramani Mahama, or administration of John Dramani Mahama. We said governance is a continuum. And of course, obviously, what you inherit, if it's bad, make sure you fix it. What you inherit, if it's good, make sure you ameliorate it, so that it will become better or best, if you like. Clearly, the system that we put in place at our airports, these vegetables are actually flown. Normally, because they're perishable, they're airlifted, because they're perishable goods and all that. The system that we put in place at our airports to make sure that hygiene is at its peak. Sanitation is quite important when it comes to handling some of these goods to Europe. How well do we sanitize the system so that there will be that confidence in that sector, or given to that sector? I'm sure that today, as we speak, if you go to the airport today, you will see some facelift given, in terms of how to carry some of these goods out and all that. And I want to say, let this credit to the outgone government, and give also credit to the current government for what is happening today. I believe what is happening at the airport, before His Excellency John Dramani Mahama left, some work was being done. Now, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa under him, he's come to say, look, continue to do the work that we have come to meet. Make sure our airports are at least a place where would be conducive for some of these goods to pass. So I'm sure these measures are put in place. The horticultural value chain that I spoke about, I have no doubt at all that the Agri Ministry is working so hard to put measures in place to improve that sector, so that at the end of the day, that the vegetable market will not suffer a jolt as we're seeing today again. Again, we are making sure that at the end of the day, exporters who are supposed to be in it and who are supposed to be checked by officers who would make sure that the quality control system is put in place, those officers have been given that task, and those officers are actually monitored themselves, to make sure that the quality control that we need in that area is given. So I'm well aware that measures have been put in place by this government. All I want to say is that, look, if you are in that business, for God's sake, it is you who stands to lose more. I know government will lose, but you stand to lose more. So why don't we go by the measures put in place to ensure that we help the government of the day to succeed so that our economy would actually grow to be better for all of us?
Very well said. So now we know the reverse has happened, and
Sure.
the Agriculture Minister has been speaking to what those measures
But what is refreshing
were.
also is that if the EU has issued
A statement.
a statement,
Yes.
and of course it appears something positive is we're getting from their statement, it means that should we do our work well, this ban is going to be lifted, and when it's lifted, inshallah, it's going to be good news for us.
So the same reports continue to say that in its quest to reverse the ban, the minister said urgent measures were put in place to ensure that Ghana complied with the conditions stipulated by the EU,
Absolutely.
including a task force to oversee the activities. He mentions as well
Yeah.
a register of all exporters of plant and regulated plant products
Very well.
and their outgrowers, a development of commodity-specific and pest-specific fact sheets for use by inspectors and importers.
Very well.
As part of those measures, and a whole lot of others. My concern is sustainability issues, because then now we were desperate, so that we don't continue to lose money, to the sector, and so we've managed to put in place all of these things so the ban, was lifted. How do we ensure that we sustain this?
You see, I continuously state that my major concern lies in the suffering farmer, just like my brother Kamaldeen said, up north where we actually come from. And so I feel that if this should be given a green light, in the next 1 year, 2 years, we hear again that there's a ban again on vegetable exportation, it actually brings a big blow to those people down there who are striving hard to excel in the agricultural sector. And so I feel that if this shouldn't rest solely in the hands of government, we those in the minority should be equipped towards also supporting and sustaining this policy. And that is why continuously when I find the minority issuing press statements, the minority giving supportory services, the minority actually giving proposals towards the revamping of other sectors, not only in this sector, even other policies the government is trying to impose on the people of this country, I always want them to acknowledge it and receive it with all manner of joy and elation, because you see, we are there in a minority today because perhaps the people decided to bring the MPP government into power. But that doesn't make us, aliens to this country, and that doesn't make us, aliens and a cake to the development of this country. We share in the interest, and so if in the next 4 years we should come back into power, we hope to come and meet this economy at a rising rate and not at a diminishing manner, just like we left it for them. And so I feel that, we should bring all measures on board. We left the progressing economy for you. I think that's a fact.
That's fine.
Yes,
that's okay.
yes.
That's
So
opinion, sir.
I feel that we should continuously support in these services. We should try as much as possible, just like you said, to sustain it. When we should purchase the required chemicals and all that.
Sustainability.
Well, by adhering to the right procedures. We have sectors in place, just like the army worm, like I said. We have a special division under NADMO that is in charge of this plantation. We call them the Plant Protection Agency or something like that. They are solely in charge of treating these vegetable plantations and all that. And so these people should be equipped. When the MPP government came to power, they laid off all those people working there and brought in new people. I feel that those people should be fast-tracked. I don't have any problem with you laying off people because they belong, perhaps they were recruited in the old government and all that. But you should equip these people on time, train them on time, organize capacity building programs for them, and deploy them into the various sectors so that they go down there and they do what is required of them. Because if you see, it is one thing being employed to work in that agency, and it's another thing coming and folding your arms and sitting down because your government is in power and they employed you to come there, and so you take the whole laws into your own hands. The right procedures need to be adhered to. For this policy to be sustained, we need to go down there and work with the people. We need to deploy these people into the sectors. They should go down there, they should supervise. We have an auditing agency that is meant on supervising all these vegetable plantations, and so those should also sustain this by going around to ensure that the right mechanisms are being put up down there.
Okay, so please wrap up for
sustainability.
me. Yes.
Simply, I think it's important. Given the submission of Malik, you realize that he is pointing to attitudinal problem as to management, how to go about management. That's one. Now, people are given
that's
a
the fundamental of it.
That's the fundamental of it. Pointing to attitudinal problem. If you are given a task to say, look, you are the one to make sure that inspection is conducted on these particular farmers or growers, or if you like, exporters, to ensure that the quality is not reneged upon, then, of course, don't go out there and get yourself corrupted. How are you doing that? Knowing very well that this thing is not good. Maybe one or two, compromises come up, then it moves. It gets there and they tell you, look, not a good job has been done. That is one. Secondly, we should also pay heed to that sector. If we know that we are losing about $18 million annually from this sector, what is the Agri Ministry doing? What is the oversight responsibility giver doing to ensure that indeed we are going to get the right things done? So I just think that, look, laziness must be out of our system. Trust me, there are people who are shy to say I'm a vegetable farmer in this country. And it's sad. There are people who tells you that I'm a farmer, he's shy to tell people that, look, I grow vegetables. You go to Europe, you go to America, you go to Asia, farmers are happy.
We're wrapping up, so I don't want to ask follow-up questions.
I know.
There are a whole lot of issues
so if it's a job,
in my mind.
Absolutely.
Questions
so if it's
that
a job,
I would love
yes.
to ask. But you know what? I promise you I'll bring you back.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll bring you back to continue this conversation. Gentlemen, we're making way for our Heart Talk conversation because our Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister, she's in the house. We're looking at all the issues that comes with her sector and indeed government's plans to deal with them. But a quick reminder of Saturday's events, that collaboration with the Oak Plaza Hotel and EIB for the Oak Full Moon Party. Yeah, so November 25, 2017, as well as supported by Jandel Decor, fun-filled nights, if you ask me. 7 p.m. sharp, where it started and runs throughout the evening until midnight. The dress code is contemporary African, and then, of course, a cool rate of 30 Ghana cedis. You get an inclusive welcome drink and a kebab on arrival. Lot of surprises, dancing competitions, karaoke, you name it. Well, yeah, this is something that I'm going to be running by you throughout till the day. So yes, if you want to hear more, you want to keep it right here. GH1 TV. We're live as well on the DSTV channel 361. My name is Bay, so I don't know. Well,